I'm going to tell you about equivalent fractions. The word equivalent right here just means equal. What I'm trying to say is that the amount of blue in this rectangle is equal to the amount of blue in this rectangle. It has the same amount, they're equal. They're just broken into different parts. So let's write the fraction for each one. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4 parts to it. So in my denominator I got to put a 4. And the amount that's shaded is 2. So this rectangle right here has 2/4 shaded blue. This rectangle has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts to it, so its denominator is going to be 8. And the amount of blue that it has is 1, 2, 3, 4, so its numerator is 4. So this fraction is 4/8 shaded, and this fraction is 2/4 shaded. So 2/4 is just the same as 4/8. And you can tell by looking at this amount of shading is the exact same amount of that shading. Yeah, their numbers are different, but the fraction is equivalent. Okay, I just showed you how 2/4 is the same as 4/8, but now I'm going to show you numerically why that works out. So this denominator is a 4, but it went up to an 8. This numerator is a 2, but it went up to a 4. So what we did is we multiplied the top and the bottom by something. To go from a 4 to an 8 multiplying, you got to do 4 times 2, because 4 times 2 equals 8. Whatever you do to the bottom number, you must do the top number. Because I multiplied the denominator by 2, I got to multiply the numerator by 2. And if I multiply by both the same number, it's going to be equivalent. So 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8, so yes, that is equivalent. I just told you that in order for you to have two fractions that are equivalent, you got to multiply the denominator and numerator by the same number. But let me show you what happens if you don't. So let's go ahead and multiply this denominator by 2, which will give us 8. So 4 times 2 does equal 8. But what if I multiply the numerator by 3, a completely different number than that 2? It will not equal 4, but 2 times 3 rather equals 6. So what this says is 2 over 4 is the same as 6 over 8, which is not true, and I'll show you why. We still have 8 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is reflected by the denominator, but let's look at the numerator. It has 6 parts shaded, so I got to shade in 2 extra parts. And I'm done. So this represents 6/8, this represents 2/4, and you can see just by looking at the amount of shading in the blue that they are not equal at all. So 2/4 does not equal 6/8, and that is because this numerator is multiplied by 3, that denominator is multiplied by 2. They're not equal. We are now going to make two equivalent fractions together. And teachers, if you're in the classroom, you can pause this video and let your students work ahead. Or if you're at home, you can pause the video and go ahead and work ahead. I'm going to take 1/3 and I'm going to make two equivalent fractions with it. Now these shapes kind of give you a hint of what they're going to be. So let's take this 1/3 right here and let's multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. Remember, you got to multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number to make it equivalent. So 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. I'm going to erase this extra stuff so we're not confused. So 1/3 is the same as 2/6. I'm going to prove it by shading it in. So let's get my highlighter out. And I got to have 6 equal parts. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's true, and I got to shade 2 of them. So it's kind of thick, but I'll make it work here. Let's actually make it thinner. So if I shade in 2 of these 6 pieces, you'll notice that I have the exact amount of blue in this one, in this circle, as I do in this circle. So 1/3 is definitely the same as 2/6. Let's go back over here, and instead of multiplying the top and bottom by 2, let's multiply it by 4. Let's see what happens there. It doesn't matter what you multiply it by as long as it's the same number at the top and the bottom. It can be 100, 250, doesn't matter. 1 times 4 is 4, and 3 times 4 is 12. And I'm going to erase this extra stuff real quick so it's not confusing looking. So 1/3 is the same as 2/6, which is the same as 4/12. And I'm going to highlight it to prove it to you again. So with this circle, I need to have 12 spots. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's true. I got 12 parts, equal parts. This time I got to shade 4 of them. So I'm going to shade this one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's get it a little thinner again. So it makes it look a little prettier. After I shade in 4 of these 12 parts, you'll notice that the amount of blue in this circle is the same as the amount as this one, is the same as the amount as this one. So 1/3, 2/6, and 4/12 are all equal fractions.